All right. So, what's up, everybody?
Mm,
This
Where
stream
are?
is definitely going to be a little bit different, and if there's any audio problems or anything, just let us know, as usual. We also have a stage going on Discord, so if anybody watching wants to try to chime in verbally, just raise your hand. Granite has his hand up, so I'll let him chime in here real quick, see if he had anything he wants to throw out there before we get started.
My question is when Alpha Arches will be available?
Archers, they'll be
Yes,
they'll be available at the start.
yes.
So we do have some archer units in here already. I'm working on a couple of different game setups at the moment, just playing with different things because I'm having to do a bit of this stuff myself, which before I was doing predominantly the design side. Um, so now it's a little bit different,
Okay.
but but yeah, we've got the archers already modeled up and rigged and animated, which at the moment, because I need to adjust which screen it's playing on. Uh,
Nice, yeah.
there's the archer right there, though, if you're looking on Twitch.
Yeah, anyone who's still on Discord, we're showing some visuals on Twitch now that we're in, so join us over there as well.
So let me see real quick. Maybe I can find a quick answer to this.
Hey, someone's been skipping leg day.
What's that?
Someone's been skipping leg day, the archer.
Yeah. Yeah, the intention actually with the archers was to make them kind of tall and lanky, and honestly, I may distort them a little bit to make them a little bit taller and more lanky. But this is just kind of the base model. And we've also got, I haven't put them in here yet, but we've got the meat shields as well. I've actually got them working in my other version of the game that I'm working on. So basically, to give everybody sort of a pretty good idea of where we're at, we've got some unit placing working. I've got that working a couple of different ways. I've got resource gathering, resources coming out of your actual total resources when you're building buildings. We have some troop movement. I'm actually working on getting it set up so that you've got the clusters of troops, because so far I haven't messed with that. But yeah, right now it's all just single unit stuff. We've got some construction stuff, which we've kind of been back and forth on some general ideas for that. Some of that we'll reach out to the community or at the very least the patrons for, just to get some input and some feedback and see what everybody else thinks. But we've got the building working, we've got some of the UI functionality working, we've got the gathering working, and we are about to start on combat. We've got some AI functionality to where if we decide to go with something like workers, which is not typically seen in the mobile version of this. I mean, they'll do it occasionally where you have like a worker and you can get a second worker, and that's basically it, unless you spend more money. But it's usually like I think caps at 5, and that usually dictates how many buildings you can build. We've been discussing doing something more like a traditional RTS where you actually have workers as a unit. Um, so the more you have, the more you can gather, the faster you can build, things like that, which then requires you to kind of balance that from a strategic stance of you only can have so many units. So do you build more workers? Do you build more military? You got to kind of find your balance there. So we've discussed that. That's not something we've set in stone as far as which direction we want to go. Let me move you back to the audience. Sorry about that, Granite. Um, thanks for the follow. Trying to think real quick. We've got some UI stuff that Coolstro has been working on. I don't know if there's something you want me to pull up at the moment on that, Coolstro.
Right. So, obviously, any of these are pre-alpha UIs and are subject to change. But here's what I've created inside our Photoshop. Working with Mars, he's able to take these icons and so forth and place them within the UI. So this is basically the barracks. Either gets a crazy one. Yeah. Yeah, so either we train all of our units in the very beginning through one building, unless we create multiple buildings, then we'll have different ones. and you can create multiple troop types through say barracks. There's more than just the meat shield. That's why I put like a grayed out figure on the left side there to show that you'll be able to create more than just one troop out of this building. Get your resources at the top. You've got basically your stat card for your unit. So your unit cost as far as population and health, attack, range, armor, speed, vision, as in how far you can see on the map, your unit, capacity, how much it costs to train each unit. Typical scroll bar, we'll be able to add that in later. So as I'm going through these, if you guys have any thoughts on these, feel free to let me know because, yeah, I'm open to criticism. That's totally fine. Mars, can you go to the next?
Yep. Sorry, I'm just responding in Twitch real quick to people. So I got the next one pulled up,
Yeah,
which is the library.
The plan is to have troops for each building. Like we will have like an archery range and stuff like that. How does population work? Good question.
I got it. You can explain the UI. I'll answer the questions on here.
So this is kind of where you like do your research, kind of like a library. As you research things, your books are added to these shelves in a sense of you've learned them. And so that's just kind of like a UI I grabbed from inside of Unreal Engine camera view. Yeah, I mean that's basic. I haven't developed the research further than that, so we can totally discuss any questions because I don't want to discuss things if people have questions. That's like I can get back to the UI stuff.
Yeah. So just for those that aren't watching on Twitch right now,
Yeah.
there's a couple of questions coming up here, and Coolstro, if you don't care, I guess Granite actually has his hand up again. Let me throw him up here to speak real quick, and then we'll jump back. Go ahead, Granite.
Guys, I have another question.
Yep.
There will be a suppression like in Top War. You can always war that there is Air Force to can beat Marine.
So
That
you're wondering what there is as far as when you say suppression in Top War. Suppression in Top War is used as just basically another way to mitigate damage from a certain unit type.
yes, but for example, cavalry can beat Archer.
Yeah, that the rock paper scissors system.
Yeah.
And
so,
we also have siege slash wizard, but you can explain that, Mark.
Yeah. So your traditional RTS doesn't have a very true rock paper scissors system, which is what you're referring to. It's what they call RPS, just as an acronym. Your traditional RTS kind of has that, but kind of doesn't. It's definitely more mixed up, right? You look at, I don't know if you've played any, but if you look at some of the more traditional ones like StarCraft or Age of Empires or whatever, there's a broader range of unit types. So there's not that this beats this beats that, this beats the other. You'll have armor types, weapon types, all kinds of stuff like that. So when you start talking about things like suppression or you're talking about counters, it's not going to be that cut and dry. Intentionally, we don't want it to be that cut and dry. It shouldn't be where, hey, if he's sending cavalry, I'm just going to send archers and I'm going to mow them down or what. It shouldn't be that simple. So we're very intentionally not making it that way. So hopefully that answers your questions. The intention, I will say, for one of the earliest stages of the alpha that we want to put out there, will have some combat so that the players that are doing the earlier alpha stages can at minimum have some combat with AI. Whether or not it's with people is up in the air as far as the earlier stages, because of course that is more involved. But we do want to have at least some degree of combat in the earliest stages. And then there will also be some base building and things like that, and we'll kind of build off from there. So we'll try to get the multiplayer side working as soon as possible too, but I think more than likely what you're going to see is the initial versions of alpha just being single player. So to kind of touch on that a little bit further before we get back to the AI stuff, I guess I'll put my camera back on. I was trying to turn that
So
off. Go ahead.
So it will be like Rise of Kingdoms.
Kind of. It's definitely got some similarities. It's been a while since I've played Rise of Kingdoms, so Coolstro could answer that better than I could.
Yeah, I used to play Rise of Kingdoms. I have a YouTube channel that was covering Rise of Kingdoms. You might be in my server on Discord. Either way, but yeah, that's the idea, is to create games in that genre that are not pay to win. Because Rise of Kingdoms is a great example of pay to win. Right? And so if it's free to play in aspects of like you can't spend any money to have an advantage, then I think this game is going to be on the same field as those games, but in a different way. And obviously we're doing it a bit differently, but yes, if you compare it to something mobile, I think Rise of Kingdoms is a good comparison.
So I will be able to move my march when I want.
Yes.
Where I
Yeah,
want.
yeah, that style of combat, in the sense of you
Oh,
don't just
okay.
go one direction and then they have to go to their destination and return. It's literally stop on the battlefield. You can move, whatever you want.
And what about capital events?
Alliances?
No, not events. For example, capital events or silos events in Top War, for example.
As far as those kinds of events, we don't have anything currently in place. We've talked about a lot of events. Most of the events that we actually plan to have are a little bit more sincere than what you've seen in most games. So, like, consider like your bosses in Top War, right? You've got a
Yes.
boss. I've talked about this in other streams too, but you've got a boss that spawns and it stands there and you go kill it. Or you don't. You go hit it, you get some rewards depending on where you rank, or you just don't. And if you don't, nothing happens, and if you do, you get some rewards. That's not really a boss. That's just a thing that stands there. It's basically a target dummy, which is really dumb and pointless. So
Okay.
what we're planning to do is if you have a boss on the map, you need to kill that thing or it's going to come kill you. Because that's what a boss does. It doesn't just stand there and wait for you to hit it and then despawn whether you do or don't. Like, that's really ridiculous. So pretty big things planned, but we don't want to overcommit to too much because already we've talked about a bunch of ideas we want to put in place, and until we really have it out and start piecing it together, we're trying to be a little bit careful about how much we say we're going to do. There's a lot we want to do, and we'll see how things work, especially with your limitations of hardware and technology and all that. But we've come across some information and some new stuff here lately where I think there's even more stuff we can actually do that we were wanting to in some cleaner, less costly ways as far as how taxing it is on the hardware. But what were you going to say?
Okay. And how many times I can attack the boss?
There wouldn't be a limit on that until it dies, or you run out of troops and resources to make them. Like the one of the bigger points we're trying to make with this is that there's no real limitation on how much you can attack or how much you can do other than your own time or interest or efforts. Just like we've talked about basically getting rid of the stamina system entirely, meaning you can attack all you want as much as you want all day if you want. If you want to play 24/7, hey, have at it.
Okay.
Units
So
are going,
infinite times.
huh?
So infinite times.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna throw you back down if you're good.
Yeah, I could always quickly go through the other couple UIs I got there.
Yeah. Let me.
Obviously not too much to discuss, but you guys can take a look.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up the library one right now, and I'm gonna shut my camera down. There you go.
Go to the one after the library one.
Okay,
That's where.
that's the UI.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, go to the that one. So that's this is going to be laid over your town or the map view. When you toggle between the two, I guess the bottom left corner icon, that one says go back to your city. That would switch to go back to the map. And so you've got your resources at the top. You've got your premium currency on the top right, which is crowns. And crowns don't have any pay to win advantages like we explained. That's for purely cosmetic purchases in the shop, like hero skins and unit skins and stuff along those lines. We've got some building skins as well. And then gold is going to be kind of like that's going to be the backbone of the economy of the game is the gold. While the other four resources, food, wood, stone, and metal, will be typical for your training units and building buildings and researching and stuff like that. And then top left, you've got your like avatar, you got your frame, you got your XP bar, your level, your might or your power, whatever you want to call it there, and your name at the top. Beside that, to the left, you've got your builders, and below that is your current research. Below that is your current training of units, and a chat box. And I don't like that chat box. It'll be something different, probably. But anyways, on the bottom right there, you can see you got more icons. So you've got like your quest icon, you got your alliance icon or your guild, whatever we decide to call it, and your inventory, your mailbox. In the top right, we've got like a mini map. Hopefully that's going to kind of show you on your map where potential enemy troops that are within vision of your troops start to appear on that map. Which would be kind of handy if you've toggled to your city view and you're on the battlefield and you kind of notice someone is there, you can toggle back. Settings icon up there, basically. On the right side, you've got your marches. So we have up to 5 marches, and you could click on the hero who is leading that march to jump to that march on the battlefield. So that's why kind of those 5 icons are there. You can jump to your marches. And that covers basically all the buttons and stuff for the UI for the game. Like I said, it's pre-alpha. We probably changed some things slightly. However, Mars, you can jump to the next screen, which is the tavern. Basically, this is kind of like when you get quests and stuff. This is where you got to go recruit heroes, stuff like that. This is where it'll happen. And then I think on the left, I've got some icons for like treasure and quest and dungeons and stuff like that. I haven't really gone into what those icons are going to be. Those are basically features that we have to discuss and develop. I don't want to go too far ahead of myself there. And this background image here, I have to license it through Shutterstock. As you can see, it's still granted, but they let you try it out before you buy it. So I'm going to license this background image here to remove, obviously, their trademark. And then the last one was just inventory or the last UI.
You've got one after that, but yeah, the inventory is the next one, which I've got that pulled up now.
The icons on the left will definitely change. Those are more of a placeholder. I don't like the style as much as the rest of our stuff is matching ones. But this is kind of like quick. If you tap your bag icon, you pull up your inventory, toggle between the categories, your resources, your speed ups, your boosts, your equipment, and everything else. And the last one, self-explanatory. And then can you just jump to the last one, which is, I believe, yeah, this one. This is what I started. So those are basically categories, tabs that you can switch between the emotes, hero skins, castle skins, unit skins. We'll have featured section when you pop open the shop. These could be bundles, stuff like that. And you see if you got your crowns, how many you have, and you can buy more crowns to buy whatever. And yeah, so if you guys have any cool ideas, feel free to share them in the suggestions as far as anything UI or cool things you'd like to see sold in the shop. Like we had one random idea for like the catapult. You could like fling a cow or something like that instead of an actual ball. But I think that's it for UIs. So maybe Mars, if there's more stuff inside Unreal you wanted to jump on and talk about, then we could do that. Or
Yeah. So, well, a couple quick things. I'll throw camera back on now since I'm not blocking out any more UI stuff. So a couple quick things to run through. We started that Kickstarter pre-launch page. Like I think it was early February. We were planning to launch it the early part of March. Obviously, we did not because we've not announced that to anyone. We haven't even touched on it in a while. A big part of that is because we're, as usual, trying to be as transparent with everything as possible. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we certainly don't want to start asking people for any particularly large sums of money without actually having something to show. So basically, the holdup on that is essentially boiling down to us having some degree of a playable. We want something that is at least some sincere level of a playable. The Kickstarter itself, we have currently labeled as being for the alpha. To sort of explain that a little bit better, we want to get to an alpha of sorts, like sort of our real basic technical alpha. We want to have that out already before we do the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter still will be for the alpha, but it's more for a completed alpha, not just a sort of, as my child would say, a pinky toe or pinky paw into it. This is the intention would be that we would fully fund the alpha, have enough funding to actually get some people to help us with the coding side of it so we can go faster. And if it's overfunded, then that would lead into the closed beta. So that's kind of the thought process right now. I'm working through this stuff enough between the regular life commitments of work and kids and all that I'm learning a fair bit about it. Obviously, we've got something pretty functional right now. I can't show as much of it as I'd like to. I actually just last night had a crash that corrupted a little bit of information that I was trying to fix this morning, and I know what to do. It's just going to take more than a couple of hours. So I'll get that fixed, but hopefully sometime this week or this next weekend we can have another stream, impromptu or whatever, and I can show everybody a little bit more. I'm really hoping to have something playable, at least in Coolstro's hands, for a little bit of internal testing here in the next week or two tops. That's my hope. If that happens again, that would have your base building, some resource collecting, some combat, and some basic AI. And beyond that, we're just going to keep trucking along as best we can here. And as soon as we get something actually in our patrons' hands and we feel like it's actually worth showing to people beyond, our higher tier patrons helping us out with some testing, then we'll kick off that Kickstarter and we'll throw it up, at least a little demo version that people can check out and get some pretty good idea where we're at. But I will say also, we are finishing up making all of our patron created items. There's still also the emojis that we have to make, and that's something we'll probably start on this week, which I realize isn't necessarily a big deal to most people, but it's still kind of a cool, fun little thing to play around with on Discord and Twitch. So we'll try to get that all set up. Other than that, there is more story. We've got some more posts that are lined up and ready to be posted, but I know the thing everybody's waiting on the most is the gameplay itself. So we're pushing on that as much as we can. And in the meantime, I am trying to get a different position so that I can be work from home and save myself a couple hours of driving a day to have a little bit more time to work on the game too. So if that works out, then I can make a little more progress through the week.
I was gonna say maybe just show for video sake, because I will put this on YouTube for people who maybe aren't on our Discord and has seen some of our latest full reveals that have been public, to go through and show some of the creations or whatever else. But I'll be right back in just a second.
So at the moment, I forgot to drop that character in there. There's my archer with his non-animated self. And there's my smaller archer. So I've actually got them scaled down, and I need to adjust a little bit of how they fall onto the screen. You've got some rock golems in here. They've got just their basic animation going at the moment, because I don't have any AI functionality built into them just yet. And then we've got some workers that I haven't assigned an actual body to yet. And then if I place a house here, they go and they build that house. And they've got a slight delay, so they start at different times. And the pink versus the blue is actually their sex, which was just a random thing that I was screwing around with, watching some little videos on a couple of different things and how to do it.
I'm back, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. So I've got my collision detection working, but I need to adjust the way that it looks. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know that I've ever seen. Oh, I didn't show you this. I forgot. Coolstro, hold on. Let's. This is what we were talking about actually right before the stream. Let me pull this back up first. So if I play this, I drop a building or two, drop some workers in there. When they start building it, you got your progress bar.
Yeah.
So I've got to adjust all that stuff as far as the location of everything, basically, within the UI screens. The other thing that I'm working on shows bars and panels and cards and stuff underneath the buildings when you select them. So I just have to adjust it to do the same thing on this one. This is the one that I'll end up modifying into the actual game. But I think that is probably the only thing really worth showing at this point without me pulling up my other project that I broke. There's not really much else to show off right this second.
Did we show off that's Valentine skin? I don't think I put it in the YouTube video last.
Yeah, I mean, that's been shared publicly.
Yeah.
Not very many people jumped on that one, surprisingly.
So I shared a link in Twitch. If you're not on our Discord, the links to all of our stuff will be in there. So check it out. Make sure you join us on Discord. That's how you can get a hold of us at any time, pretty much. We're on Discord in and out throughout the day. If you don't have anything else off the top of your head you want to share, we can go through those patron tiers because prior to me making the post, I think we had made some slight adjustments to what we had prior. I'm not sure exactly because honestly, I wasn't 100% on what they were prior to that. So, yeah, that's the drill. Yeah.
Figured I'd go ahead and pull up the skin real quick.
Valentine skin. So we have, I think, 10 people grab that one or so.
Yeah, it wasn't very many people, which, I mean, I get some people aren't as enthusiastic as they had been because this is taking longer than they would like. But the unfortunate reality is these things do take time, especially when your team consists of basically 2 people. We are undertaking a rather large project, but I do believe our next update's actually going to be pretty significant. Yeah. So you wanted to look at patron tiers, you said, right?
Yeah, they're in the Discord channel.
So we'll jump over to those real quick. You've got your F2P resistance tier for $3 a month. Now, these things we do still have to do some tweaking to. I've set it for months now, I plan to. But I sort of fall back on the value of that, making those adjustments right now versus me making progress on the game. And it's a little bit more important that I make some progress on the game right now before we really get into making some of these tweaks. But for the first tier, you get to have the patron channel access, so you can actually talk in the patron channel, and you get your name on all of our YouTube videos, which is something I gotta make sure Coolstro does not forget.
Also, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was gonna say before you finish this section here, can you say everybody's names out loud so I can capture that, buddy? While I got you, no need to create another separate video, and I can use the audio and footage, make something cool, maybe. Like I'd do something cool like that other video that one time, but you've got the list.
Yeah, actually, there's at least one person on our patron list whose name I do not have. We got a question. Will gameplay be similar to some other games, or will it be unique, new to game? So, the gameplay itself is going to be similar to games like Rise of Kingdoms, for example, because it is going to be a mobile-based game. So, similar, not the same. Similar in the sense that you can still control your marches, but different in the sense that a lot of the combat system and stuff that we're trying to work in is definitely going to be a bit different. As we've mentioned on previous streams, and it looks like this is your first time, at least chatting on here. We are putting in a lot more story and things like that too. So you've got the ability to play in what we call the safe zone, which will allow you to basically just play straight up PvE. You don't have to worry about PvP at all. And then you can play out in the actual main part of the world, which will be open PvP, where there is no shields or any of that. There's no teleporting. Like, we've got a couple of systems that we're planning to put in to help mitigate some of the travel time, but you won't see people teleporting bases all over the place or shielding as soon as they start attacking somebody or whatever. So there's quite a few differences gameplay wise. We're also planning to let you have activatable skills for your heroes. Some of those will do team damage as well, potentially. So you have to watch that. There's one of the abilities that we've got posted up right now, and we've got to work all that stuff in still, obviously. But one of the abilities we have posted up right now, it will heal the unit stack that this particular hero is in, and everything within a certain range, like of this particular thing that she summons. So if she's in that range, her stack gets healed. If any other stack is in that range, ally or not, it takes damage. So there's game mechanics like that that we're trying to put in place where there's going to be a lot more strategy and a lot more positioning and things like that that start to become critical. That's the plan. That is our intention. We do want strategy to be definitely at the forefront of the combat system. But we also want it to be easy enough that if you are a more casual person, you just want to be able to point and click and move on, then that will be doable. You'll just need to be obviously either significantly stronger or enough so that you can pretty well dominate the other person without having to work too hard. So we'll see though. We'll see how the combat system evolves. A lot of that's going to be determined over the course of testing and getting feedback. Feedback from everybody is going to be really vital when we get to that point, because we have a lot of ideas that we consider to be great, but until we actually execute them, we have no idea. We may have some idea that sounds amazing on paper, and when we put it out there, people are like, this is too cumbersome. I don't want to have to do all this. And be like, okay, we'll have to work that out then. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I am not sure how to say the name Pajo Patak.
420.
Yeah, we'll just call you 420. We'll
Yeah.
make it easy. So
P420.
just to jump back to the patron tiers, we have F2P Rebel. That is our second tier. So again, you get a unique Discord rank for that. Every tier, you get all of the previous tiers' benefits as well. And you also get access to, you get early access, actually, to information on the characters and heroes, the design and backstory. And we'll jump down to the Mutineer. That one gets guaranteed closed beta access. And again, they get their own patron tier on Discord, and all the previous benefits of the other tiers. Once you jump up to Renegade, then you get early look at characters as they're being designed, so you'll actually get to see more of the artwork as we go. Okay, yeah, I'll read that here in just a second. You get a first look at the game backstory. So we try to post backstory stuff either on Discord or on Patreon, and we set it so that only certain tiers get access to it when it's posted initially, and then we open it up to everybody. And occasionally we'll open it up to all patrons, and then later we'll open it up to the public. Again, that goes back to we're working with a very small team. It's basically myself, Coolstro, and then Venus, and she's kind of touch and go at the moment just because we've got a lot of stuff going on. So that's why you see our activity on things like Discord and our socials and stuff kind of jump up and down a little bit. We obviously want to get that a little bit more stable and streamlined, but that's been a little difficult lately. I think that'll level out here soon. You also will get access to some exclusive polls. So there's several different polls that I've posted for the patrons of this tier and above to check out and vote on. And that stuff, just like with all polls, we'll poll stuff. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go with the response of the poll. It's more than anything to get a good feel for what people are thinking or what they want. In some cases, it's really close. In some cases, it's not even close at all. Obviously, if it's way off, one's just way ahead of all the other choices or whatever, we're probably going to go that route. When it's closer, then yeah, that leaves us open to a little bit more discussion. And some of those posts we will roll out to the public, which we have done in the polls channel that we made. They also get to design a custom emote for use in our Discord server and streams. And that's what I was talking about with the emojis or whatever. That's something we're going to actually start on here pretty soon. So FTP Hero, that is our $48 tier. They are the first tier that is guaranteed alpha access. They get to design a unique in-game item with our team, listen in on exclusive dev discussions about upcoming content, which will sit here lately, not as much, but very often in the past, and we're going to start doing a little bit more here again. We'll sit on Discord in a voice chat that anyone of this tier or higher can see, and we'll stream stuff while we're working on it and discussing it with each other, and you can jump in there and chime in and, add your 2 cents if you feel like it. We've had a couple of people in the past that we've actually asked questions while we were doing that, and they got to weigh in on some stuff we were working on, or as Zobart had said in the past, he got to see spreadsheets. He was very excited.
Some drunken discussions and
yeah, occasionally.
Those.
So they also get to see the brainstorming sessions and be a part of those, so they get a chance to give us their suggestions. So that's where we try to get everybody's feedback, but obviously we want to try to. What's that?
Did you show that created item, that the pet?
That's been shared, right?
It has been shared, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say I thought it was. So what he's referring to is so far we have shared 2 different created items, as we'll call them.
Yeah, because these were with the patrons.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to show you guys so you can have an idea of kind of some things that have.
So we have the Penguote, as it's been interestingly named. This is the version that is exclusively for Zobart. And then this is the version that everyone will have access to. And when I say access to, that means everyone can obtain it. That doesn't mean everyone's going to get it, because it won't necessarily be very easy to obtain. And then the other thing wasn't a pet, it is actually a creature.
Oh, okay.
Let me get to that really quick. This is the Moxel, and you can expect to see him in the game. And the odds are good that he's gonna suck a little bit. We'll see how common or beefy we decide we want to make him. But yeah, there is a burning village in the background for a reason, and we'll just leave it at that. There's some story that goes along with that little guy as well.
My only other thoughts, if you want, you can share the Patrick's, because I've already started the first part of it, and it will be released before it hits you. This video hits YouTube anyway, so it's up to you.
You think I should show the full image of that?
I always like to show people on Twitch who show up to our live stream something that people haven't seen.
Yeah, I usually try to give a little extra. So we'll show this. This is Cetra is his name in Discord, or Patrick W. He's changed his name recently to Cetra. But this is the item that he helped create. It is pending its official file name. But that is a book, obviously. We will not at this time get into what it is for, but that is the 3rd patron created item that we have so far. And I think that's probably good. So let's jump real quick to the last patron tier. The last patron tier is the $96 a month tier. This is guaranteed technical alpha access, unique in-game profile border, unique in-game chat border, and additional exclusive in-game content. So we left that a little open-ended on purpose because we do plan to add more to it. You see over here on the left side of the throne here, you've got that in-game border. So that would be the unique in-game chat border that we were referring to. Or not chat border, sorry, profile border. The chat border will obviously be something a little different. The biggest thing with all this stuff, we want to try to reward people as appropriately as we can for the different tiers of support. We really appreciate it. It does help actually a lot. At the moment, we're trying to get, as I said, we're trying to get enough out that we can confidently start a Kickstarter and feel like it is worthwhile for those that are participating in it. We've got some good rewards planned and lined up for that. But we are going to definitely keep the Patreon stuff going, and we'll be able to modify that quite a bit as we get going more. So the additional exclusive in-game content is left open-ended because there are pretty good number of other rewards that we want to put in there, and we do want to trickle more of the rewards down a tier. So basically every tier sees sort of a step up. And if we can do that with any consistency, that would be ideal because we do want to maintain our patrons and we do want to continue to benefit them in some way that they feel like it's worth it. But the support is hugely appreciated. We've got 30 patrons at the moment. I don't have a sincere list now because it kind of it keeps up with it to a point. But if you don't actually hit the join Discord button, then your name drops off, or well, your name doesn't drop off the list, but it doesn't give me your Discord name. So I'm going to go in here real quick and just kind of rattle off a few for the sake of what you were asking for. Coolstro.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to our patrons, and like I said, every patron gets a shout out at the end of our YouTube videos. So this is that moment when this gets over to YouTube.
Yeah, so let me sort these really quick. Make it a little easier.
All right, I'll say two things while you're sorting that. So two more things about patron is that there is an annual upfront and you save 10% over the year. So there's that option, which would be a more bulk payment instead of a monthly payment. And then there's also the free tier, which is basically you just sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. And we do put some story and stuff in there that you don't see anywhere else. And that just kind of gets people all comfy and Patreon and check us out and support us that way, even if money is not an option for you to help us out, then at least we do like to see the support in the sense of you still check us out on Patreon and YouTube subscribed and all that stuff. We do appreciate that.
So real quick,
go for it.
I did forget. I need to at least answer this question. So he says, will combat system be like make tactic and just send troops, or you can manage troops while in combat? So yeah, the combat will be a live combat system, assuming that you are still observing our stream here. But yeah, it will be live combat, so you will be able to actually control the units during combat. That is definitely very much the intention and like 1,000% the plan. So yeah, it's gonna be taken to the point too of ideally we want base combat to be the same way. So like if you're attacking a player's base, it's not just a one-on-one. Anyone can join that fight at any point on either side of the battle. So allies can come jump in and try to save the person being attacked. Enemies could jump in and try to help you, or enemies of both of yours, because there are 3 factions. So if you've got Lucinia attacking Sminthos, and then Oscarinos shows up, that person could wipe out both of the other 2. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, is there's a lot of room there for battles to turn very quickly. But yeah, everything is intended to be real time, and we do want there to be no limits on people being able to join the battle or you being able to control troops and retreat as needed. or send more troops, obviously. Sorry. I'm just answering somebody on Discord real quick. So he was just asking if we had any idea when the game would be ready to play. As I think most people are probably fairly aware, we don't have a sincere release date in mind. We were planning to have had an alpha out months ago, and some things happened and got derailed, and that's been pushed back. And we kind of had to restart quite a few things. Nothing that cost money, just things that cost time, which hurts, but that's just part of the process, unfortunately. So to run through the patrons really quick, we've got John Smith, Nevermind, which is NVM, Stan Smith, we've got Aerosot, we've got Rudy, Patrick W. or Cetra, we've got Venus, Bob from Accounting, Creo, Kilo, David A, Mewtwo, Cal, Recklaw, Anonymous, Coolstro, Warbear, Zythak, and 595 Hunt, BB, Blanche, Cheryl Geyer, Clifton Brown, Jeff Chavez, Karen Gray, Now Gaming, or Now G, Stan the Man, Celine, Wrecked, and Zobart. So those are our patrons. We really do appreciate it.
Shows up live. I do like having people to do these live streams with too.
It also, we're always open to suggestions from anybody. If you guys have questions, we are on Discord pretty much all the time. A lot of our conversation lately has just been through some internal group DMs, which is why it's been pretty quiet from most of us. But we are around. You guys have questions, let us know. You want to invite people to the server, have at it. Obviously, every bit of exposure helps us a lot. We used to harp on this a lot early on, but exposure is huge, and word of mouth is a very, very big way for us to get things out there. So, following our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitter, our Twitch, our Instagram, any of that stuff helps a lot. Retweeting, reposting, liking, subscribing, just everything makes a difference. We've got some YouTube videos that we were supposed to have released again a while ago. A couple of pieces for things that we're waiting from other people on. They've been really, really slow to get us what they're supposed to. We're still actually waiting on the model for our mounted units as well, which we were supposed to have had months ago. And every time I ask about it, I actually did it, I think, at one of the last streams. And the guy that's working on it said that, he was working on it today. He was just finishing up the texturing and it would be done. It's been like a month, so we'll see. Hopefully I will get that soon. That is the last basic unit that we have paid for him to model that we're still waiting on. If there's a base attack, will we fight like in base of person defending or just flat space? You will fight in their base. The intention is, though, that it won't be instanced in the sense that, like I said, people can join it real time. We'll see. That particular aspect of the combat system is something that I want to look at really, really thoroughly because, again, the focus is very much on having a very good combat system. We want it to be very strategic. But we do want there to be stuff for those people like my wife who don't really care about combat. She'd rather make a pretty base and sit there and do the PvE side and story and all that. So we're thinking we've got a pretty good balance in mind for how we're going to go about that, but we'll see. So I think we have streamed long enough. I'm going to pop off here, assuming no one has any more questions. And if so, you can always pop into Discord and ask. I've got to go run and take care of some stuff, unless some plans have changed since I've been on here. And we'll talk later. Everybody good? Coolstro, you good?
Yeah, sorry, one quick thing. Jump back to that patron tiers channel on Discord we just created at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Is that your link tree?
Yeah, so that's the QR code to our link tree with all of our socials and Patreon and everything else. So if you do want to spread the word, share that QR code. That would be great. Boom. That's all I wanted to say. I'll post that somewhere else in the Discord as well. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon wherever you're at. I gotta head out as well. You so good catching up with a few people here who I haven't seen in a bit because, like I said, we've just been kind of internally discussing things and kind of making progress on the game instead of chatting as much. But we are here, so feel free to chat with us anytime, guys. We're not gonna bite. Well, Mars might. All right, I'm out. Peace, guys.
All right, take it easy, guys.